Good evening. The City Commission regular meeting scheduled for March 24th, 2026 will come to order. Welcome and good evening. Please join me in silencing our cell phones. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Perrine?
Here.
Commissioner Martin?
Here.
Commissioner Ashley?
Here.
Vice Mayor McGurk?
Here.
Mayor Cleveland?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Police Department Chaplain Sheila Turner will now deliver the invocation. Please rise as you're able and remain standing for the pledge afterwards.
Let us bow our heads and hearts unto the Lord. We thank you, Father, for this day. There's no other place that you have assigned us to be but here. We're listening to your cries in your heart to make the right decisions that needs to be done today, this hour. We thank you, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
And now, Lorraine Sharp and Robbie Gibson Minor, leadership of the 8th Annual Charming Home Tour in New Smyrna Beach, will offer the Pledge of Allegiance and lead us in that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Just a point of personal privilege, a member of our community and an icon in the community, Dr. Tom Exum, has passed after a short illness. We wish his family well and keep them in our prayers. So just one moment of silence, if you don't mind, for the family of Tom Exum. Amen. Thank you very much. Mr. Manager, any changes to the agenda?
Just a couple of notes, Mr. Mayor, that I wanted to bring out. Item 10A, 10B, and 10C, all three of those items have been withdrawn by the applicant, so they will not be heard today.
Got it. And so those are the storage facility proposal out near Sugar Mill, 390 Sugar Mill Drive, that has been withdrawn, not postponed, but withdrawn.
That's correct. So
Okay.
if they do come back at some point in the future, they would have to start over the entire process again with Planning Commission notification and public hearings.
Got it. Thanks, sir. Anything else?
That's it. Thank
Okay,
you.
very good. At this time, I would like to invite our entire finance team, or members representatives of the finance team, to the podium to join the commission and I to receive a proclamation. Stars of the show. Oh, yeah. You guys are the stars. Come on, Deb. Come on, Joe. I'll stand behind you. The City of New Smyrna Beach proclamation recognizing Government Finance Professionals Week from March 16th through March 20th, 2026. Whereas the Florida Government Finance Officers Association is a professional association founded in 1937 and serves more than 3,300 professionals from state, county, and city governments, school districts, colleges, universities, special districts, and private firms. And whereas the association is dedicated to being your professional resource for providing opportunities through education, networking, leadership, and information. And whereas this Government Finance Professional Week, sponsored by the association and all of its member governmental organizations, is a week-long series of activities aimed at recognizing government finance professionals and the vital services they provide to our state and our community. And whereas during this week, government finance professionals throughout the state of Florida will be acknowledged for their hard work, dedication, and leadership. Now, therefore, I, Freddie Cleveland, Mayor of the City of New Smyrna Beach, hereby proclaim March 16th through the 20th, 2026, as Government Finance Professionals Week in the City of New Smyrna Beach, and encourage all citizens, officials, employees to participate in the events that we recognize and celebrate Government Finance Professionals Week. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of New Smyrna Beach to be affixed this 24th day of March 2024, and I've signed it as your mayor. Joe, for you and your entire team, congratulations. So we have the best finance team in the county and likely in the state. So to Joe and your team, congratulations. Very, very well deserved. Okay, on to a unique presentation. We have the Teen Empowerment Program. Our very own Irma Terry, Community Relations and Event Managers from the Leisure Services Organization will now acknowledge and recognize the participants in this Teen Empowerment Program. Over to you, Irma.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Commission. It's a pleasure to be here. Shout out to Rob Salazar, our Leisure Services Director, for allowing us to implement this program. And thanks for allowing us to acknowledge our participants this afternoon. The Teen Empowerment Program was more than an initiative. It was a movement. It was a movement to guide, uplift, and to encourage and empower our future leaders. And we're super proud of them. We are very appreciative to the mentors that gave of their time to make sure that this program was a success. We had 16 participants. Only 8 could be here this afternoon. But again, thank you for allowing us to acknowledge them. We created a space at Babe James for them to feel comfortable, for them to learn about confidence and leadership skills and all of those things. So we're proud of their accomplishments for successfully, again, completing this program, which was an 8-week program at Babe James. So if you would allow me, or Ted, he's going to come up and call all of our participants, and we just have a special token of appreciation for them, and we also have something for our mentors. All of them couldn't be here tonight, but we do have some that are here, and we will recognize them on tonight. I would like to extend a thank you also to the parents of these participants, because without them, our program would not have been a success.
All right, I don't think I need the mic. All right, Kiana Brazil, can you come up, please? The ones we're calling up now are special awards. All the participants, they participated well, but the ones we call up now, they went beyond participating. They were active, and so we just want to reward them as well with a little extra. Jalerica Lee. Lee. Farron Morris. William Thomas. Hart Halloway. Come on down. Orion Ivy. Keon Brazil. Addison Queen. And Reagan Queen. Jamaj Smith. Zandor Soli. Smith Jalea. Come on down.
Thank you all so very much, and please allow us a moment to introduce some of our mentors that are here tonight, none other than Mr. Ted Williams, who's our program coordinator. I do have something special for our mentors as well.
Thank you.
Officer Richard Roberts from the New Smyrna Beach Police Department. Inaris Enman, who's the campus director of Daytona State College, New Smyrna Beach, Edgewater. Is Willard McFarland here? Okay. And of course, myself, but I won't give myself a gift. I would just like to mention our other mentors who couldn't be here tonight. We do have David Omida, who's the vice president of TD Bank, Mr. Winston Byfield, who's a retired civil engineer, Mr. Willard McFarland, who's retired from Nassau. Let's give all of our participants and mentors a round of applause, please.
To Ted and to Irma, thank you for leading our children and being the inspiration behind their greatness. We look forward to seeing great things from them, partnering with the police department and with the local college, Dr. Inaris there. It's great to have you guys all come together to make sure that the future is as bright as it can be for those kids. Thank you very much. Sir. And so I've asked Police Chief if he'd like to say a few words about the spring break operation. It has come and it is gone, and by all indications, it was a success. So, Chief, over to you.
Good evening, all. I think that In the grand scheme of things, we would have what we consider a successful operation for spring break this year. I know nearby communities suffered significant challenges. Those challenges can happen anywhere and everywhere where busloads of people show up and decide to be non-compliant. We're very lucky that those busloads did not show up here in New Smyrna. Our efforts and partnerships with our neighboring agencies, state agencies, county agencies were as fruitful as ever, even though I think headline stories were down and major incidents were down. We still had over 30 arrests, over 1,300 traffic citations issued, over 200 parking citations issued, 15 vehicles towed, but those numbers are down from last year, showing a much more energetic crowd toward having a good time and less toward creating issues. So we continue to navigate the challenges of being a small beach community with a huge influx of people. We'll continue to make sure that we're doing everything we can to address that and consistently stay on top of that. But overall, the feedback I've received so far from residents and visitors has been overtly positive, and we're happy that we got through another spring break season, and now we look forward to Memorial Day and 4th of July and Labor Day and all of the other days that we'll have a very busy beachside.
Thank you much. Any questions or comments for the chief? Yes.
Just a quick comment. You know, you said it all. Great job. I'm not getting complaints by our residents. The presence, I drove down one day and I love the presence of the police on the corners. It just reminds people you can come here, you can have a good time, but you can't act like idiots. So thank you for everything you're doing. And I love the fact that we have come so far in these short few years, and the planning and the organization and everything you have done. So thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Commissioner Martin.
I just want to say thank you very much, and how I appreciated your staff working so much overtime, so many days on, and still, even at the end, greeting with a smile. It was the most impressive. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You know, people first is very important to us. A lot of that staff, they're still going. You know, they went straight through the weekend and they're back today. So we have a very large portion of our agency that's looking at 18, 19 days in a row. It's challenging to stay upbeat and positive. The feedback we get from our community certainly pumps us up. It helps. But that is our greatest task, and I'm glad that that's seen out there.
And I wish you all got more recognition for how many consecutive days your staff has worked. So thank you again.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Perrine.
I just want to say thank you as well. I sent you an email thanking you during the process, but a few years ago when we made the vote to do the curfew, it was a little bit scary because we did have some opposition to it. Not a lot, but we had some citizens that came up here that were adamantly against a curfew. And the last 2 or 3 years that curfew has been in place, I've been thankful that we made that decision as a board up here, because despite some of the citizens not wanting it, the majority of all of us did, because it lets you enforce what you need to do and do your job. And it doesn't mean that you're going to enforce it 365 days of the year, like you said, but when you need it, you need it. And thank you, and I thank us too for making that decision. And it was uncomfortable, and we don't always like making decisions up here, but this was one I was glad to see happen. And I thank all of you for keeping us safe.
Yes, ma'am. We appreciate the tools. Thank you.
Commissioner Ashley has a word, but he did call me about those parking tickets. One of them is his, and so I'm not sure what you can do about that. Commissioner Ashley.
Yeah, I want to thank you for the ticket.
I can give you instructions on how to pay it, sir.
No, I sincerely wanted to thank you for all your efforts. I mean, driving down Flagler, you can tell that the presence is real, it's there. And I did see a news clip where they interviewed a couple of kids, and it was online somewhere. And I thought, you know what? We're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Those kids knew that they didn't want to misbehave, and they said that on camera. So when I saw that, I thought, fantastic. So
very good.
My thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Chief. Well done.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Manager, your report, sir.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just a few things that I wanted to go over with you this evening. Thursday at 9 a.m. at the Brandon Center, you will be meeting in your annual strategic plan session, so we want to invite everybody to attend that event. I wanted to go into just a couple of details regarding the strategic plan, just to give you a flavor of what to expect. We have posted the agenda item online already. There is a voluminous amount of information that is attached, and a lot of reading material for you all to peruse. We will be hearing some presentations from department heads in the morning. We're going to get an update on our personnel system. We're going to get updates on our stormwater and capital improvement program. We're also going to get updates on some of our new initiatives pertaining to natural land preservation and our parking program. We're also going to get update on the airport and discuss some of the future of the airport. In the afternoon, though, we're going to turn our attention forward thinking, and I think this is going to be the most important part of the agenda for us to focus on. We're going to hear from our Development Services Director, who's going to review some of the developments that have been previously approved in the city, their location, how many units it is, and what that means to the future. The Assistant City Manager is going to discuss an effort that he is heading up to focus on bringing resources, the necessary plans and preparations for the imminent growth and development that we're facing in the western part of the city. And he is leading a team in that effort so that we are properly prepared for that. And then something that I'm very excited about, our finance director is going to present the beginnings of our financial forecasting model. This is a 5-year forecast that we're looking at. The forecast is based on a number of inputs, including the projected growth and development that we're expecting, and when we expect that to occur, and the things that we need to do to put in place to make sure that we're accommodating that growth and development in the best fashion possible. So this is us preparing for the future, and I want to spend a good bit of time Thursday talking about that strategy and how I expect that to unfold, and give you the assurance and give the public the assurance that we know what is coming and we know what needs to be done to properly manage and prepare for that. So that will be a full day on Thursday. There will also be opportunity for public input at the beginning of the meeting and at the end of the meeting for citizens. Just a couple of other things. You all have been, I know, monitoring the zoning issue that was pertaining to the setbacks for churches and other institutional uses. That's been going on for some time. We've had a number of community meetings and gone through a number of iterations of proposals. Development Services staff has done a terrific job with that. The Planning Commission will be reviewing a proposed amendment April 6th, and then that amendment will be forwarded to you for your consideration on first reading April 14 and second reading on April 28. I believe we've worked hard, we've listened hard, I think we've understood, and I think we've been able to develop a proposal that meets the needs of the church and understands the impacts on the neighborhood and the residents and takes that into account. You all asked at the last meeting for some information about the South Village commercial component. I did send you some information this afternoon that I had collected. We are continuing to work to try to make contact with that ownership team. We haven't been successful to date, so I don't have a lot to report back to you at this point, but we are working on that to get you whatever information we possibly can. And that is all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you for your report. Any questions for the manager? Okay, very good. It's time for public participation. If there are any citizens who wish to speak to the city of matters pertinent to the city, you'll have an opportunity to have a monologue, come forward, announce your name, your address. We'll give you 3 minutes. We won't be answering questions. If there's need to follow up, the city manager or city clerk will get back in touch. So any issues pertinent to the city, we'd happy to hear what you have to say. Please come forward at this time. Good evening, Ms. Gibson Minor.
Good evening. Robbie Gibson Minor, 2839 South Oceano Court. I'm here representing the New Smyrna Beach Residents Coalition, and I'm here to say thank you. Thank you to our over 100 volunteers who worked to help make our 8th Charming Home Tour a success, and that includes Citizen on Patrol, Mr. Stuber. We also had 5 homes on Live Oak and Palmetto, and those homeowners who opened their homes and were so gracious, all of our docents, lead docents, all of our event committee members. It's a lot of work, and we were sold out once again. So it was a great day, and we thank you for your support in that event. Then I would also like to extend our thanks to Stephanie Doster. I think probably you all have seen, and if not, I have copies of it, the article in the Florida Planner, Spring Historic Preservation, and it's written by Angie Beretta Herman, who chaired our historic film committee on the restoration of the Women's Club. And Stephanie is the one who suggested that this article be written and submitted, and it's kudos to New Smyrna Beach, to the city, the citizens, the Hodges family who came forward, of just a group effort to really work to save our history. So I would like to thank her and invite all of you on Heritage Day on Saturday. The New Smyrna Museum of History is from 9 to 3, and at 10:30 and 1 o'clock, we will be premiering the new shortened version of our documentary film, Preserving Our History. So please come, it's free, and thank you again.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else for public participation? Mr. Algren.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Eric Algren. I reside at 1913 Sugar Tree Circle. I come before you today because I recently submitted my application to join the Historic Preservation Commission and just wanted to lend a face and voice to my application. First, I was raised here in New Smyrna Beach and graduated from the old high school in 2004. After that, I left to earn my aerospace engineering degree at Auburn University before moving out to Southern California, where I worked as an aerospace engineer for several years for Northrop Grumman and Boeing.
War Eagle.
War Eagle. I returned to New Smyrna in 2019, which was initially supposed to be a temporary stay just to reconnect with my family after being in Southern California for so long. But after living out there for a while, I came back here and I saw the city differently. I fell in love with New Smyrna in a way that I didn't when I was growing up here as a kid and a teenager. As an adult, I developed an appreciation for the character of the city, its history, its scale, and the small town feel that makes it unique. Since returning, I've become actively involved in the community. I work with a local business. Some of you may know the owner, Stephen Yates. He's on the Planning and Zoning Board. And I also run my own web design business, where I focus on helping local businesses and organizations present themselves in a way that reflects the quality and identity of New Smyrna Beach. I'm interested in serving on the Historic Preservation Board because I want to contribute to protecting what makes this city special. I believe my background in engineering, materials, design, and renovation gives me a practical perspective on how to balance preservation with real-world considerations. I am building my life here for the long term, and I love my life. So I care about the direction it takes, and I value the opportunity to contribute in a meaningful way. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate your comments. Ms. Flanagan. Good evening.
My name is Cindy Flanagan. I live at 2401 Saxon Drive. And I am here tonight with a simple invitation. As chair of the Marine Discovery Center, I have the privilege of witnessing a very special event every year, and I invite you to do the same as well. It gives me a lot of hope for our future. On April 9th, we're hosting an event called SHORE. It stands for Sharing Our Research with Everyone. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Students from local high schools and universities come together. They bring real research focused on conservation, restoration, and the future of our Indian River Lagoon and coastal ecosystems. It's a pretty incredible event. The students are studying and presenting on things like crossbreeding corals to improve reef resilience. They're studying microplastics and how to, have oyster reef restoration. And you know that one single oyster filters 50 gallons of water every day. So how important that is to our lagoon. The students aren't just learning, they're leading. And it's really a wonderful thing to witness. Throughout the day, they present their findings. We recognize them for their outstanding work with awards. And you'll also hear about conservation and education opportunities right here in New Smyrna and across Volusia County on how you can be involved in this important work yourself. We also have a special keynote speaker, Chad Crawford. He's often called Florida's ambassador, and he's a 7-time Emmy Award winner on TV series that are centered around Florida. And his keynote address will be very informative. It begins at 9 o'clock, doors open at 8:30, goes until 2:30. Again, that's April 9th, and it's completely free to the community. The invitation is simple, so come spend time with us, get inspired, and so you can just see how our next generation is really trying to protect our future, the future of our lagoon. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. Mr. Schweitzer, good evening.
Good evening, Kevin Schweitzer, 880 Catfish. Right after the shore event on April 9th, just leave your cars parked, come right over to Canal Street, right in front of the brewery area. There'll be a skate event, a professional skating event. It starts around 4 o'clock and goes around to 10 o'clock. There'll be music and professional skating, so it should be a lot of fun. And I think from the shore event to there, just a simple walk away from the Brandon Center. So come and enjoy. And then after that, on April 10th, 11th, and 12th is a surf event, the Mike Martin Pro Surf Contest, and that'll be down at the inlet. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Ms. Dugas, welcome back.
Deborah Dugas, 200 North Pine Street, New Smyrna Beach. I don't have a written statement. What I'm saying to you is coming from my heart. I want everyone to understand what a wonderful city staff we have in New Smyrna Beach. I'm not an expert on anything, but I have come to the city with many questions over the years. The staff has been so kind and answered anything or gave me direction. And I would specifically like to comment on Rob Salazar, the great job he's doing with leisure services. I have grandchildren, so I see what he's doing. I visited the dog park. We're so lucky to have these things. The booklet that he puts out telling everyone what's going on, there's something in there for everybody. And the other person I would like to recognize is David Ray. He has a very difficult job, and his guys, they're super. Another person, it doesn't matter what insignificant thing I call to complain or mention, he is so kind, and I just want everyone to realize what city staff we have. And I've watched all the meetings from home, the planning department, engineering. These people are super. They have tough jobs. And you know, I tell you if it's not something good, but I want to tell you we've got something good with our city staff. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate those comments. Anybody else for public participation? Good evening, sir.
New face. Brian Flora, 1005 Staggerbush Place in New Smyrna Beach, 32168. And to some of you, I'm a new face. To one of you, I'm not. I'm here tonight representing the Smyrna Youth Sailing Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit that's here to address some of these young men and women that were here tonight. I get emotional when I think about it. The reason I'm here is primarily that man right there. He and I have a few things in common. We both served more than 1 year with the United States Flying Service, and that was pretty cool. Not together. I'm a little older than he is. He also is a sailor, and he also is a friend that I've met here through Smyrna Yacht Club. And one of the things we have out there is a dying group, avocation of sailing. And he and I have had this conversation many times. It's because we're aging out. And he and I have both talked about the resources we have here and what isn't being done to cultivate youth sailing where we can regenerate sailing. And we have this natural resource. And so I formed this 501c3 so that we can partner and try to bring that about so that we can grow sailing in the community with our kids. And you'll see me on Thursday and many more times, and maybe I won't be this emotional. But I've crafted something that hopefully you'll be able to take home and see that we've done a lot of work towards bringing this together. I've got a lot of people that support me they are from the Yacht Club, but this is not a Yacht Club project. This is a partnering project with the city. This is all going to be yours when it's all done, and it's going to be for the benefit of the community. Because with our private club status, we couldn't offer that. It's just not possible. But through partnering with a nonprofit, we can do it if we partner together. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. Appreciate your comments and your work. Evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Sorry, give me a minute.
Take your time, Cindy.
While I was tardy, Sharon, I did submit an application to be considered for the open seat on planning and zoning. So I don't know if you've seen that yet electronically, but you've seen me and you've heard me a lot, and I've been to probably hundreds and hundreds of hours worth of meetings, looked at old tape meetings, but one thing you probably don't know is how I started to get involved in paying attention to what was going on at commission and zoning meetings. And that was due to an invitation by Sally Gillespie, to assist her with something that she was concerned about in the city. In fact, something that came up for a vote before zoning and before you as well. And while I have nowhere near the elegance and polish and speaking ability as she, I will tell you that she's had a great influence on me, and I know we hope her recovery is rapid from her incident, but I'd ask that you please consider what I could offer the city as an average person who has a pretty varied work background, from medium to Fortune 50 sized companies, one in particular where I had to rely on collaboration in order to get anything done, to even get it discussed properly. So I believe I have something to offer the city, and now is the time of my life where I can do that.
Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate your words. Hi, Steve. Evening.
Good evening. I wasn't sure what I was going to talk on. There's so many subjects, but I thought it was going to be more involved with that traffic challenge that we have.
Just put your name and address out
Oh,
there
I'm
for the
sorry.
record.
Yes. Steve Gunter, 140 Temple Street, New Smyrna Beach. And basically, I wanted to put the information in your hands because you're going to be coordinating with the FDOT. I grew up here. I know all the roads. I know how everything's working. We all know there's only one road coming into New Smyrna from Central Florida. It's it. Now they're going to put this FDOT new ramp at 95 and Pioneer Trail. Well, that's going to be thousands of cars. So as they all start to head east, and everybody coming from the north, Missouri, wherever they're coming from, they're going to say, oh, New Smyrna, and they're going to pull onto that, and then their GPS or Google's going to start taking them into New Smyrna, and most of them are going to the beach side for timeshares, hotels, motels, restaurants. Well, what you've got is once they start heading east, they have very few choices. They can peel off there at Sugar Mill, it's going to dump them back on 44. They could go beyond, they can hit North Glencoe, peel off, they're going to hit 44. They go to Colony Park, that's becoming a death trap. That's two corners coming together, and all that traffic coming out of Home Depot these days, and it's hard to get out of that stop sign. So then, if they even turn there, then they start cutting through my neighborhood, because everybody that lives here from Sugar Mill, Coastal Woods, Venetian Bay, they're all learning these back ways so that they can avoid the gridlock. I get it, I do the same. But our old neighborhood's not equipped to handle that type of traffic. And then when you look at their Google's going to take them right to Wallace, the light there. They're going to take a right. All of that traffic's going to dump right into Wallace in 44. It's going to be a cluster. And you already have D.R. Horton, Buddy Guy's, Oak Leaf Preserve, the townhouses, the post office, 3 campgrounds, 3 schools. It's out of control. And everybody's using the Amazon return package, Quest, Radiology. They do that little back road, again, to avoid the gridlock. Well, now they're pushing through my neighborhood, and we have a lot of little kids, and we have seniors. Well, they come blowing through there just like, ooh, I got to get out of this gridlock. I got to hustle. We have a lot of subcontractors blowing through there because they're avoiding that, and then you have a Home Depot. It's just going to be a mess. And all I'm asking you to do is consider, when you're working with the FDOT, what are we gaining here? We have that little strip they're going to put by Walgreen that's going to handle a dozen cars, if on the right side. As Mr. McGurk was talking about that right turn when you're heading north, I mean, that traffic's packed up beyond the post office. And on the other side, it goes beyond Winn-Dixie. There's no movement. I would love to say, could you just put an overpass on Wallace and Mission and just let all that 44 traffic move under? That's not possible.
Appreciate your comments. I'm sorry, Steve, but your time
yes,
is
sir.
expired.
Thank you
Appreciate
for-
your comments.
thank
You
you.
bet. Anyone else for public participation?
Good evening, Allie Rogers, 811 East 27th. I have a couple comments on things that I haven't been here in a while. It's been really hard for me to get here at 5:30, and I know express that to the commission. I have a young family. I work full-time. It's hard to get here at 5:30. I'm happy that participation is sometimes backed up to 6 o'clock, but I'm just here to say my piece. I also want to give a shout out to David Ray as well. Just the Detweiler and Esther Parks look great. I know those are up for the agenda today, so I appreciate working with those, and those look great. I'm super excited for those to get started. And a sore subject that I am sad to bring up and not trying to take advantage of, but I am actually. I'm here to talk about that tragic accident that happened at 27th and Atlantic. I live on 27th, and that is a very dangerous intersection. 27th is becoming a very dangerous street. There's no sidewalk there. This is a main beach access. Every other road in New Smyrna that has a beach access by vehicle has a sidewalk. This one does not. And I don't come here to condemn the city worker. This is just a crappy situation all around. I really have come here to offer some help and just ways that we can maybe make this intersection safer, kind of take action on what has happened and make some from some learnings here. So one of my suggestions is similar to Peninsula and Flagler, where that starts, is making all reds as crossing. There are people crossing here all the time. They're going to Izzy's, they're going to the park, they're going to get on the beach. This is just a very congested intersection, as most of the beach accesses are for vehicles. People are heated. They want to get to the beach. It's hot. Their kids are screaming in the back. Whatever the situation is, there's honking constantly on the weekends at this intersection and just kind of heightens everyone there that are trying to get to the beach. The buttons on those where you cross the street, those are incorrect. So they're facing the wrong way. So people are hitting the wrong button when they're trying to cross Atlantic. And so they're getting the arrow to go this way instead of going this way. And then that's causing people to hustle. And they're crossing at a crosswalk where those people were, where it leads to nowhere. People are pulling out of off of the beach. They're turning right really quickly. They're not looking. So it's just a really dangerous intersection. That intersection at 7-Eleven on the other side, the west side, it's a really weird intersection. You can pull right out of 7-Eleven, then get right back on Atlantic. It's just not a great intersection. And I also think that this area just needs to be looked at. There's sand everywhere on the sidewalks. The sidewalks that are leading into the beach are uneven again, even though I know that's city property. We're making this area really great, and people want to come down to 27th as they're trying to avoid Flagler, Crawford, or wherever they're trying to avoid. And so I think that we need to take a look at this after what's happened. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else for public participation? Seeing none, public participation is now closed. We're going to move on to Section 7 was the consent agenda. We have 9 items on there. Is there any member of the commission that has a comment or question about any of those items? Anybody want to pull any of those items?
Yeah, hold on, I got one.
You got one? Okay.
I just want to comment on one, actually.
Comment. Which one?
7E.
7 Echo, all right, go ahead. That's the Detweiler Playground, Esther Street Park Playground, and a piggyback contract, okay.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I just wanted to point out that some of this playground equipment, it's very expensive. It doesn't hold up well. A lot of it is made out of metal. I remember when Esther Street went in, I was on the commission. This playground equipment is not, kids don't like it. They get bored with it very quickly. I just had 2 kids who came through the park system and played on all these things. We used to have a wood-built big playground that a bunch of contractors built in the late 80s, early 90s in town here on Riverside Park, Manatee Park, and it was a great playground. We replaced it with these generic things. A lot of reasons we have to. But the only thing I wanted to point out was, is there anything better? For example, recycled plastic is being used for a lot of different things. I use those for my picnic tables. The hardware stainless steel, you replace those out. The structure of the picnic tables are still good. So it was just an idea of What can we do in the future? Is there any other companies out there that sell this stuff that is doing something a little different? That's it.
Sir,
Thanks, Mayor.
appreciate that. Commissioner Martin?
Recycled plastic is being used. It is not traditional playground equipment. Compound, which is the company that did the playground on 27th Avenue, does have marine grade playground equipment, which Director Ray worked very hard to get good environmental as well as that would last. And I know everybody laughs about it being made marine grade, but he's worked hard to make sure that this is maintainable, so it's not just beautiful for a year, but it's very clear that it incorporates recycled plastic and materials as much as possible.
Good. I'm glad you said that. I certainly wasn't trying to challenge Mr. Ray's work on that. But I will say that the playground equipment is generic. It's not very fun. And what I'm saying is maybe we can look and find if there's anything else out there.
Have you seen the renderings with the dome? The dome at Detweiler is really cool. It is something I've never seen in a playground.
Have you played on it?
Pardon?
Have you played on it?
No, I've never seen one before.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
But it's
thank
not
you
conventional.
very, very much. Mr. Ray, you got some input, so I think, and just as an aside, we got some mom's input on one of the last playgrounds we did. There she is. I thought, yeah, okay, good enough. All right, I want to make sure you got that. All right, very good, excellent. Well, certainly a great topic of discussion. Seeing none to be pulled, can I have a motion, please, to accept items Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Echo Foxtrot Golf Hotel in India?
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Perrine?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Ashley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes, thank you. Unanimously approved. On to the Section 8 Administrative and New Business. We have the presentation of the Charter Officers' Annual Performance Evaluations. Director Kidd is here, and we're anxious for your report, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Can't see without these anymore. The City Commission conducts annual performance evaluations of the city manager, city attorney, and city clerk in accordance with their respective employment agreements. Individual evaluation forms completed by each member of the commission, along with summary results, were provided in the agenda item. The evaluation instrument measures performance across 16 competency areas using a 5-point scale, with 1 being unsatisfactory all the way up to 5 being outstanding. The maximum attainable score for each evaluation was 80 points, or an average score of 5.0. I'll discuss each of the charter officers individually, and then we can have a discussion afterwards if you wish. The city manager serves as the city's chief executive officer and is responsible for implementing the policies and direction of the city commission. Duties include oversight of day-to-day operations, supervision of staff and facilities, administration of the city's budget and finances, implementation of projects and programs, and management of capital improvement efforts. The mayor and each commissioner evaluated Mr. Cowper's performance for the past year. His average score overall was 4.45. Currently, his compensation includes an annual salary of $239,990, an annual vehicle allowance of $9,000, retirement contributions equal to 24% of his salary, full family medical, dental, and vision coverage, long and short-term disability coverage, and group life insurance equal to 1 time his annual salary. City Attorney Carrie Avalon. City Attorney serves as the city's chief legal officer and is responsible for providing legal representation and counsel to the City Commission, boards, and staff. Her responsibilities include preparing and presenting cases, advising on litigation and administrative proceedings, and providing legal guidance during public meetings and other official forums. Her overall cumulative average score in her evaluations was 4.575. Ms. Savalon's current contract provides for an annual salary of $226,600, an annual vehicle allowance of $9,000, retirement contributions equal to 24% of her salary, full family medical, dental, and vision coverage, long and short-term disability coverage, and group life insurance equal to 1 times her annual salary. For the city clerk, she serves as the city's official records custodian and is responsible for providing notice of our city commission meetings, maintaining official minutes, and fulfilling statutory duties related to our municipal elections. Her average cumulative score on her evaluations was 4.40. Ms. Taylor Harding's current contract provides for an annual salary of $107,074. Her retirement contributions equal 10% of her salary. She has full family medical, dental, and vision coverage, long and short-term disability coverage, and group life insurance equal to 1 times her annual salary. The city manager's employment agreement requires that the city commission conduct an annual performance evaluation and provides that he may be eligible for a merit increase at the discretion of the commission. The city attorney's employment agreement provides for an annual salary review and requires that a market compensation study be conducted every 3 years. The most recent market study was completed in 2025. The city clerk's employment agreement requires an annual performance review and grants the city commission sole discretion to adjust her salary based on satisfactory performance and financial considerations. That's all of the information. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can for you and help you through any discussion that you might want to have about the specifics.
So thank you, Director Kidd. Oh, how awkward, right, to be discussing, right? But this is welcome to public service, and so with that in mind, thank you for the presentation. So proud of each of our charter officers. Any comments from my colleagues? Questions or otherwise? Yes, ma'am.
So I had a lot to say about this. I wrote a lot down. This is my 4th year to do this. And in the past, just for transparency, not all of us sitting up here were doing the reviews from the past board, not this board, but it boiled down to basically one commissioner. And when I read everyone else's reviews, I thought we were a little bit too generous by rating everybody a one size fits all. And I'll tell you why, because we're all different in our trainings of HR. And with my past training, we did not give everybody outstandings, and we didn't give everybody 2s. We had to actually look, and if we gave someone a 5, then we better give somebody a 2 because they have to average out. And that's just my background. It's very corporate, and I would love to discuss why I rated what I did, because we can't talk to each other. This is sunshine, so we have to do it in public, which is very uncomfortable. So when I did my ratings, I thought about a lot of things, not only what they brought in education and experience, which was a lot, and I'm going to talk about Mr. Cowper a little bit. So with him, he had different skill sets than Khalid. Khalid was here a lot of years, but Mr. Cowper's skill sets have been amazing from his past experience in education that he has brought to this city. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it at the end of my commission reports, but we were struggling up here with our budgeting process, taken all year long to do it. And the way it was handled 4 years ago and the way it's handled now is totally different. He took that process with our finance department and streamlined it and made that process so much better. That is invaluable. And I rated him outstanding on that because he brought with him things that we needed desperately. And I'm very excited to have him for that reason, and our director, Joanne. So she's already gone, but the 2 of those have done things that the 5 of us set up here, and we couldn't prioritize staff. Why? Because we don't oversee staff. And I got an email today asking for me to fix problems that were going on between a citizen and staff. We don't oversee staff. We oversee Mr. Cowper, we oversee Ms. Harding, and we oversee Ms. Carey. That's it. End of story. The rest, if the citizens have problems with the staff or compliments, guess what? We take them to Mr. Cowper. So the reason why I didn't give him a 5 all the way across the board is because he's new to our city. And he brought a ton of wealth of information with him when he hit the ground running. Immediately had to hire a finance director, immediately had to hire many directors, and he's done a fabulous job doing that. So with that, he just needs to learn our city. He's been new. So where do we go from here if we gave him a 5 across the board? I read where one commissioner city micromanages. I don't see that at all. But here we are. We're up here having to hash these reviews out. I think this is the one thing that we lack when it comes to review these 3 people is we didn't get any education on what you want from us. And if we're going to really review this and do it, right now we've been lucky because we don't need to terminate anybody. But if you're giving somebody all 5s and you have to terminate them, guess what? There's going to be a problem with that. And Ms. Sharon, I didn't rate her all 5s because she's new to her position as well. Do I have any problems? No. With all 3, I had 0 problems. I love the work that they're doing. But our reviews are so minimum of what we can say and how we evaluate. It makes it very difficult. It was kind of like our budget processing that we did for 4 years and wanted to pull our hair out. Mr. Ashley, Commissioner Ashley wasn't here for that, but I can guarantee what we do now with Joanne, our director, and with Mr. Cowper, it's much easier. And I don't mean to talk a lot, but this is the only time that we can talk about this. And our ratings were all over the place, and we spent very little time doing it. So right now, if there's any transparency that the city's going to need, is we need training with that, and I think that's coming. And I would love for you to talk about how great this is going to be because we haven't had this before. And that's why we're all over the place with this, which if anything needs to be done, we need to overhaul this and give us up here training before you go out and give people raises because we've got to have a transparency job objective from the 5 of us.
Yeah, there's a lot in that, and we can unpack that. I'm delighted we're having this protracted discussion. It's important. Commissioner McGurk.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I guess you're talking about me because I gave them all 5s. So if you knew about me and my position on this, you would know that I don't agree and voted against public reviews. I have seen the political nastiness that comes along with that. I have seen the political craziness on social media, and this hasn't even happened in the city yet. I have seen people being attacked. I have seen them dragged through the mud, all based on what someone else said that was intentionally taken out of context, number one. Now, you worked in the private sector, right? Yes? Did you have to get, were your performance reviews made public to the entire company and community? Probably weren't. I don't agree with that. If I have something to say on someone who I oversee, which is one of the charter officers, I will meet with them privately in their office. I will have a professional conversation with them, and we will discuss what my interpretation is, what their interpretation is, and whether or not something needs to be done about it. It will not be done in a public hearing. I will not allow the general public to take what I said on a piece of paper and misinterpret and manipulate what I say. So I keep it pretty standard. I would neither give someone a 5 and then say I have to give someone a 2 or give them a 2 on something else. This is not an average. This is specific to each question. So I'm answering that question honestly. So if someone gets all 5s from me, they get all 5s from me. If they get a 5 on one thing, I don't feel obligated to have to give them a 2 on something else. That doesn't make sense to me. So the reality of this public circus, and I'm not going to get into a discussion on the dais of how I personally feel about each one, because all that does is create problems. If somebody in the community wants to ask me my thoughts on the city manager, on the city clerk or city attorney, the first thing I ask them is, well, you tell me, you're in charge, you're the constituent, how do you feel about it? And then I'll tell them in confidence, in private, what I feel about, how I feel about how that person is doing. So there's a technique in my way of doing things, there's a technique on how I'm gonna handle that. But I am not gonna let the politics, I remember in this town when people wanted to create an ethics board from people just in the community. And that was for no other intention, it was to attack the commissioners and staff. So there's a lot of reason why I feel the way I do. I've served on many boards and committees outside of the city, and I have seen public go after directors, executive directors, city staff by what was put in these performance reviews. I will not play that game. And I have always said, all the time I've been on this dais, I do not support these public appraisals, public reviews of department heads, because they have very little value. So that's the way I feel about it, and I will not discuss on the dais the way I feel about things. I'll meet with them personally.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Commissioner Martin?
I would like to support Commissioner Perrine, but it was pointed out to me personally recently that to give the highest possible grade indicates that there is absolutely no room for improvement. That's not true of any of us. And to indicate that expectations are met can indicate that the reviewer had high expectations. I have very high expectations. To meet those expectations is commendable. And, but I want to be thoughtful. I took a lot of time. It's politically much better to just do 5 across the board. It is a lot easier to do 5 across the board, but I don't think it's appropriate, and I don't think it's particularly helpful. And as Commissioner pointed out, if we really had an employee that was in fact failing, having all 5s would make it really difficult to let that person go. We really wouldn't have any grounds. So all in all, I made very thoughtful, considered selections, and I took days doing it because it's not easy to put anything less than a 5.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Commissioner Ashley?
I agree with a lot of what has been said, but I want to just bring a perspective from my private sector experience that in the course of my career at a couple of companies, I found this particular method helpful. So the way we would do reviews is you would review yourself first in these categories. At the same time, or maybe even afterwards, sometimes it was different depending on the company, I would review the employee. And then after those reviews were both done, we would get together and talk about why we each selected good, better, best, for example, in a certain category. And then the manager, after that exercise was over, would give a final review. Now, my particular point of view with these categories, I am a new guy on the block. And although I can have an opinion about all these categories, I really don't feel comfortable criticizing Kevin, Carey, or Sharon, because my experience in the year and a few months that I've been here has been nothing but professional, helpful, and I don't think in these kind of categories, although I'm not saying it doesn't help, it does provide food for thought, but I just don't find it, for myself, a particularly practical way of evaluating people. I just don't think that. And I think that I did the same thing Jason did, but it's not that I didn't give it any thought. The thought that I gave those ratings were, these guys are doing a great job. And can I find something that would cause me to not like what they're doing? And I couldn't. So now that's just a different way. You know, you look at it different than I do. This is how I look at it. You know, I could have said the exact same words and filled in meets expectations. My comments could have been the same in that column, or that column. But to Jason's point, it's uncomfortable and unfair to publicly display all this kind of stuff. Even though we're having this discussion, I just don't feel like it's something that we need to belabor. I also disagree with if you can't fire somebody with fives. You can, because they can make a mistake. They can make a big mistake. They can make a big financial mistake after getting fives. And so if they make a mistake, and it's a grave enough mistake, I have no qualms at all about you're out of here attitude. So this is my point of view.
Let me finish the thing, and we'll go back for reapproaches here in a second. I have the honor, and well, folks, what you're watching is the diversity of your commission at work, and that's goodness, right? I've had the privilege of working closely with all three of our charter officers, and there's none finer, and I get to see a lot of them around the county, none finer than our team and how they interact with each other. This system isn't perfect. Sunshine, the blessing of sunshine, you know, if you smoky back room, decisions made. The curse of sunshine is every single thing is in the public. So I've had the pleasure of being graded in the public sector and military life, and graded in the private sector and corporate life. There's no one system, I think, that is perfect, but there are certain scales of balance, which Commissioner Perrine talked about, we learned about in the public sector, and there's nothing that says that because you are at the top of your game and get 5.0 that you can't get better. All of us are on a journey to get better. And each of I assure the citizenry, each of our charter officers know that they're on a journey and they get better every day, every year, the 3 years that I've been watching for sure, especially with our newest of the charter officers. There may be, Heather, there may be a different technique. I favor listening to the senior guy here, and I like the approach of, hey, maybe there is a forum that is mandated. Maybe you say, you put up a policy to us to mandate that we will each meet with the charter officers before their evaluation to have a conversation. I have conversations regularly about performance, out of fairness, to rather come in at the end of the year and say, hey, I think you're a bonehead, and I'm going to write about it. That's not the right way to go about it. And so maybe there is a policy in there somewhere that doesn't have to air everything in the public eye, but to have those conversations. Good commissioners do that. Good mayors do that. Anyway, hard conversation, and delighted that we spent the time. Valley ripped the Band-Aid off, and so it was really good for us to have the conversation. Maybe that's food for thought. You can come back and propose something at another date, and we'll chew on it a little bit more. Sure. Reapproaches, yes, ma'am.
Along with what you've just suggested about a new form, it was really uncomfortable when there were categories that did not apply to the position being rated. What do you do with that one? Right? So anyway, so that might be, maybe there's a separate form for each charter officer.
Very good.
Thank you.
Commissioner Perrine.
And I don't disagree with anything anybody said up here, including Commissioner McGurk. Although, if you do rate everybody a 5 and that person has performance issues down the road, sometimes they don't surface all at once, like making a big mistake, then you do have problems terminating them. So, because they're going to come back in a lawsuit and say, why'd you rate me a 5 if you terminated me? Not that, I mean, like I said, we're lucky we have very good staff up here. I think our process is broken. I'm not saying this to pick on anyone. I just think that we should be trained on what the expectations of the citizens are. I don't want to do this in the sunshine either, and I agree with that. I don't want to put what things we should see you perform improvements on to the public. They don't need to know that, but do they? It's their money, it's their taxes. So it's one of these things that we have to pose all these things in our head when we think about these things. We don't like doing it because it's uncomfortable for them, but it's your tax money. We worked for you. So in theory, yeah, we should. If somebody is criticizing and coming after someone like Commissioner McGurk is talking about, welcome to my world and her world. We get nasty emails all the time. So it's like, so staff is going to get a nasty email? We all do. That every day we get bad emails. Some that are so horrid that I can't even read it. They make my ears bleed. So we have to fix this. It's not right to give everybody a 5. I did the same process and went through and gave the ones super simplistic, didn't have any issues, gave them 4s. If they haven't been here and they're new in their position, gave them 5s if they have, because they know the city, they know what the citizens want, they know the cogwheels of it, how everything works. So that meant a lot to me. But with my rating, I didn't want Mr. Cowper or Ms. Sharon to actually come back and think of that I think of them any less. I do not. It's only because they were new in their job. We had the same thought process when we were rating them. Where do they go from there? If they're brand new in the job, they got to learn our community. That's it. That was my only thought process. I would have given them all 5s. And 4 years ago, only one commissioner, and that was Commissioner Hartman, that did the reviews. So we are making progress. All of us are at least contributing, and we're hashing this out. Unlike when we had a different mayor, it was only Randy Hartman doing it. So, and I saw that, and I questioned it. I questioned everything. Not to be mean with why you didn't do it. Now I know. You never told us that. You know, I didn't know why you didn't want to do it. You were protecting them so they wouldn't get the nasty letters like we get every day. I get it, but we do need to look and see what other cities are doing. And we do have to be transparent with this because we are in sunshine unless we do a workshop off-site and do it like one day where if the public wants to come, they do. But it's going to be mostly about performance reviews.
Another great idea. Commissioner McGurk.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to address this issue that Perrine and Martin brought up multiple times about if I give someone a high performance, it's difficult to fire them. That is absolutely 100% false and inaccurate. Number one, Florida's an at-will state. Number two, they're under a contract, and the contract states guidelines on how their firing is going to take place. And number three, we just got done doing this. You were involved in it. So were you, Ms. Martin. Didn't have a problem. And guess what? I gave that charter officer very high marks because the context of the job that she did when I was doing the evaluation, she did great. And just as Brian mentioned, when something didn't go well, we took the appropriate action. Where's the lawsuit? Where's the difficulty in letting her go? Didn't happen. So my point is, don't beat a drum that's not accurate. Number two, the system's not broken. You voted for this. This is what you wanted. This is what I voted no on. I was sitting here nice and easy until you brought up the person who gave all fives. So this system that you just stated was broken, it's not broken. This is it. This is what you wanted. So nasty grams, listen, when you get a group of people with an agenda who want to fire people, it's not a nasty gram they get. You'll get a group of people in a community who will show up with picket signs, and they will scream and holler and make accusations for weeks and months, demanding the resignation and firing based on what someone would put in a performance review. Matter of fact, we got that, and one of the boards that I sat on a few years ago. Watch that take place. So it's not an email that we get. By the way, we're elected officials. The courts have ruled, yeah, guess what? That's what we get. And they may get their nasty grams, and we all get our little nasty emails. But as elected officials, I expect that. That's going to come all day, every day. But that is not going to come based on something that I do on their performance evaluation, on something as professional as that. So as long as you want to have public performance evaluations, that's fine. Let me ask you something. You know I put all fives. You said I put all fives. What did I say in my comments?
I read your comments.
What'd I say?
So you asked me a question on this, and it is employment at will, but that does not stop somebody from suing the city, which exposes the taxpayers to liability. So anybody can sue an employee at will. You've got to do protection. I've been through a lot of those labor lawsuits, as I'm sure you have working at Dairy Queen. So I've been through those, and you need to have transparency. If you're going to terminate, put them on a process to be able to show that. You know that.
If you want, if we can agree to disagree on that. If you want to know what my feelings are about the 3 charter officers, read my comments.
I read them. I read everybody's comments. I just said that we need a better process other than 3, 4, 5. And your comment on why we averaged the raises, when she brought back what the other cities do, and we looked at that, that was what we voted for, was based on what the other cities' officers' raises
Never brought
were.
up averaging raises.
She did. We've seen those. We've seen what other cities' raises are. That's what we voted on. And that's what we made our decision on, the raise for Mr. Cowper and the raise for
We voted on whether or not we were going to have public
what was the other
evaluations,
option?
and I voted no on that. So
What
just
was
to-
the other
Just to
option?
remind it.
Can we say no to it and go in the dark and sunshine?
Yeah, I don't know
Totally.
about, Heather, maybe you can help us. I don't know if there's any, or maybe the city attorney. There are very few topics that are allowed to be under the shade. And so absent that happening anytime soon, that's why there's maybe this conversation ahead of time in the private is a technique that we might adjust. The other one that Commissioner Perrine brings up is training. Each of us come from a different background, and we were trained one way or another, and so maybe there's a homogenization at your desk or something like that. Anybody else? Commissioner Martin, yeah.
It occurs to me that the grades are highly subjective. In other words, if you use the term meet expectation, I'm guessing each of us has a different set of expectations. And so, like what I said, I've got really high expectations. To meet mine is a feat in itself. But that may not be universal. There's no objective meaning for any of those. So you have the categories that don't always apply, and you put that together with some subjective observations or, grading, and it makes it really difficult, I think, to give an accurate picture of that applies to all of us to assess.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. I think we've drained that one. You okay? You need to say anything else?
Yeah, I actually think on Thursday, when you hear part of my presentation, we'll have some information on the new performance evaluation tools that we've started designing for all of the rest of our employees. I think with, as long as Mr. Cowper is okay with me presenting some of that and working on something, I think we can work on some competencies that are perhaps a little more modern for what you're looking for. And I think when you see our evaluation scores of how we're going to change things a little bit with the rest of our employees, we might be able to apply that for something that is for our charter officers also. So I think there's some things that we can work on over the course of time and get that updated before we have to go through this again.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Director Kidd, we look forward to hearing from that. Okay, I'm just glad that I am not graded by the staff. I would be failing miserably in a lot of ways, certainly running this meeting, and let alone my peers grading me. So I'm grateful that, and if there were, the only thing I would ask the commission, if you'd have a little more passion in your positions, it might speed things along. So I'm grateful for everybody's participation. So 10A has been removed, and that is a long piece. So we'll move on to item 10D, I think so. Yeah. Item 10D is a public hearing which we will conduct to consider the adoption of ordinance 2326, which, if adopted, would allow portico to be located in the city and provide a definition for them as well. Madam City Attorney, for the second time, would you please read 2326 by title only, please?
Ordinance number 2326, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the land development regulations, amending Article 2 definitions, Section 201 general definitions to add a definition for portico shares, amending Article 7 supplementary regulations to add Section 80404 to provide for regulations related to portico shares, providing for codification, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. And just a reminder that a motion to approve the current text that's in the ordinance is the text as the planning and zoning and staff has recommended. So if you're going to alter that language, it needs to be a part of your motion.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Let's unpack that a bit. I see Senior Planner Baker at the podium. We're anxious for your report, Jake.
Yes, as noted, this is a private application. This is Kevin Schweitzer provided this, and we worked the language quite a bit on this. So, step one of this process, Section 20100, which is our general definitions. As you can see in that image there, that is a porte cochere. There are no walls on it. It is open with columns supporting it. The definition we propose is a roof structure without walls, extending from the entrance of a building over an adjacent driveway and sheltering those getting in or out of vehicles. Now, we used the Merriam-Webster's, and we added it without walls just so in the future someone doesn't try putting a wall across the front or anything else. This is supposed to remain open-aired. Another part of this is we have 80400, which would be a new regulation specific to portico shares. So the regulations are that we propose, if you're going to have a portico share, it must be on a lot at least 100 foot wide. That applies to, yes, the minimum size for R1, but you could also have R2, which is a 75 foot wide lot. If you have two of those together, or if you exceed 100 with whatever your configuration is, you can go with a portico share, but minimum 100 foot wide. They must be at least the house must be at least 35 feet from a side property line. It's kind of intended to not have them too close to a corner or kind of, basically centered on the lot so it doesn't feel like one side of this is dominated by this portico share coming out towards the road. Number 3 here, this is the one where Kevin and our staff here kind of disagree a little bit. On parcels with overhead utility lines, portico shares must be at least 10 feet from the front property line. This measurement includes the furthest extent of roof gutter with overhead utility lines. Now, this is Kevin's here. When considering a property with an existing circular driveway and without overhead utility lines, the roof overhang setback can be as close as 6.5 feet from the front property line, with the columns at least 10 feet from the front property line. So I'm looking at that's 28 and a half feet into a 35-foot front yard setback. You're looking at a little over 80% into the setback on this one. We're kind of taking the line, we're proposing 25 feet into that 35-foot setback. And if you can't make it work in there, it's kind of, we're giving you plenty of space, in our opinion, on this one to make something work. Also on that issue, New Smyrna Beach Utilities has kind of taken a bit of a hard line on, they really are not in favor of anything in that 10-foot area for potential utilities in the future, easements, work vehicles having to work on the side of the road. They're really not in favor of much going in there. And engineering wasn't particularly in favor of it either. Porte cocheres must be no taller than the primary structure. Another one would be porte cocheres must be no wider than 25 feet. This is not, coming front of the house, 25 feet to the sides. They must remain open air, no screen or walls may be constructed within the required front yard setback. Porte cocheres must have a similar roofing material and style as the rest of the house. In other words, we're trying to avoid carports, basically some kind of metal, cover going out in front of a nice home where it's got to tie in with the rest of the house. The primary structure must be at least 35 feet from the front property line, regardless of zoning district. So we kind of have the house setback and go 25 feet in. Again, this is kind of where we differed again here at number 3. Our recommendation was 10 feet from the front property line. Kevin's is kind of highlighted in yellow right there. And this is one of his depictions that he provided for us. Now, in the R1 and R2 zoning district, you can already have a porch that encroaches 10 feet into the front yard setback. So you could already have something 25 feet with a bit of an overhang. So this is kind of, like I said, what's already allowed in there. Open front porches shall not be enclosed in any manner. Open front porch must be open wall construction without screen. Open front porch shall have a similar roofing material as the primary structure. And open front porch front building line shall be measured from the vertical support column. So that allows it a little bit more. But I think Kevin's particular situation with this application is he has someone with a front porch in there. He's trying to make this all work by having to kind of move it closer to the street. So basically, as noted, that's our difference. He wants it 6.5 feet from the front property line with overhead utility lines. He acknowledges that there's lines there. He doesn't want it, but I'm just, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Utilities is not in favor of it, and we go with the recommendation that utilities and the Planning and Zoning Board has. Oh, this is also R1 zoning districts. This kind of shows you where the 100-foot lot requirements are in town right now. Some of the areas around town, a lot of Sugar Mill, some Beachside. And then as you look here, these are also provided by Kevin. These are his depictions of a porte cochere. As you see here, he's kind of got a little bit of an overhang there. And then on this one, it shows it kind of how it would be if he had the columns right to the edge. And while I admit it looks better with that image there, I would say make it at least 10 feet from the front property line. And then there's a couple other ones that provided hip roof and hip roof without overhang. And staff recommendation, MP&Z voted 6-0 to recommend the language that you see there. And for your own sake there, if you're making a motion on this or later, there's his recommendation highlighted in yellow. And I don't have anything else. I'm sure Kevin wants to talk. And you have any questions for me?
Any questions? Thank you for your report there, Mr. Baker. Any questions for Mr. Baker? Yeah, Commissioner Martin.
Has any consideration been to what I call the conversation with the neighborhood? In other words, it might be a gorgeous house all by itself, but if it is disruptive in the general sense of the neighborhood, and I know front porches reduce crime, so I'm just wondering if when we consider a singular application like this, if we look at it in context.
We did take that into consideration with some of our criteria. I mean, obviously, we haven't talked to every single person who could potentially have one, but with the requirement of having 100-foot wide lot, the max this would be 25 feet of the lot.
I don't think you got the question. The question is, did you talk to the neighbors?
Well, to take in general.
Yeah, I love your idea.
This new construction in the context of the neighborhood.
Anybody in the neighborhood, Jake?
Well, it's anywhere they could have a 100-foot wide lot, so no, we did not
So, yeah,
really
so
have,
it's
we
really
did
a
not have that
singular.
conversation.
It's a singular thing regardless of how it converses, if you will,
Yeah.
with the rest of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir, Commissioner
What
Ashley.
about in the context of an HOA? Suppose an
Well, if the HOA does not allow anything in there, they could take the hard line and say no themselves, but the city would allow it. But the HOA could say no.
Could the homeowner dispute the HOA because the city allows it?
They could modify their own HOA documents to allow it, but, the city could allow it. This happens fairly regularly where, HOAs don't allow things that we do allow, so.
I didn't understand. Did the HOA say yes or no?
No. The HOA says no. The homeowner wants to do it anyway.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, appreciate your report.
Here comes Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. And you can take your, Jake, take your stuff. You may be back. All right, Mr. Schweitzer, come on up, tell us who you are, and tell us what you...
Kevin Schweitzer, 880 Catfish Avenue, New Smyrna Beach, Florida, architect on 145 Canal Street. And I think we're really close again with staff. My only real concern is, and if we could back up a little bit to that diagram, I think it was oh, I'm sorry.
Which one you want to get to?
Back. Right there. And this case doesn't happen a lot, but when it does happen, what happens is the existing house is is typically 35 feet back, and then they allow a porch, which is great because porches are wonderful and they're open and everything else. But what happens is when you put your porte cochere in front of that porch, and again, this is only for existing homes with porches that encroach into the 35-foot setback, it just gets really, really tight where you don't have room for any kind of an overhang. And the diagram indicates, a little bit of rain coming in, and the whole idea of a porte cochere is you get shade and you get relief from the weather, from the rain and everything, so you can get out of your car and into the house. So again, this has very, very a lot of restrictions to let this overhang happen at 6.5 feet versus 10 feet. So that was the consideration. Is number one, it's underground utilities, and in many cases, I doubt they're going to put a power pole, and they've already run underground utilities. It just, doesn't make sense to do that. But the other thing is there's many times where from your property line to the street, there may be 10, 12, 15 feet of green space for those in the right-of-way before, and so there's a huge amount of green space there. So in some cases. But again, a porch that's already existing, already encroaching into 35 feet, and then so this would apply for the overhang just for certain conditions like that. And it's fine with me if we want to tack on, you got to have at least 12 feet of green space in front of you between the road and your property line in the right-of-way. So you've got underground utilities already, you've got a wide right-of-way, and you've got an existing porch that encroaches into the 35-foot setback. So with all those restrictions, I've driven around, I've seen, especially along Quayasisi, there's probably half a dozen that might meet that criteria. What I'm trying to do is say, let's not restrict these people that have already built those porches into that 35-foot setback. They're allowed to do that. Why penalize them for just complying with some, in the R1 area again, with the 100-foot lot, with all the setbacks that staff has recommended? Sharon, did that presentation get through?
The one from a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yes, they received that.
Oh, no, today. I'm sorry.
I didn't receive an
Okay,
email
then that's
today,
fine.
no.
Then we're good with what we've got here. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Schweitzer? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, well, I'm having difficulty, again, this conversation with the neighborhood where everybody else has at least 20 feet of green space in front, and just one house has somewhere between 6 and 10. It really, to me, is very obtrusive and not compatible. And, you know, that is really a concern for me, is maintaining a character, the character of a neighborhood.
Yeah, I really think it adds to the value of the house and the neighborhood. I don't think it's obtrusive at all, especially when you've got 100 feet to work with. And then again, like Jake said, we're centered in that area. And it adds a lot of dimension to the house, gives again the protection of the overhang of the from the weather and all that.
I have no problems with a standalone, with the architecture alone. I just have problems with the context of the neighborhood.
Gotcha.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Any of my colleagues? I know you're not driving. Is there a picture of the lot, just so I can see the lot with all the other lots? Do you have that in there, Jake? No? Okay. Very good. Any other questions for Architect Schweitzer? Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Oh, what? I thought one time that you were before us previously, there was a poll taken of the neighbors. Did you approach some of the neighbors?
I have not, but I know somebody has, and they've seen that one of the persons that I'm working with has. I don't have the documentation on that, but it seemed to be an idea that was acceptable. I know Planning and Zoning thought it would add a lot of value to the area to have those portico shares, not just a singular house.
Picking up something that Commissioner Martin said, but you didn't ask the neighbors anything?
No, we haven't done a neighborhood
Thank you.
evaluation.
All right, very good. Public hearing will now be opened. If there are any citizens who have an opinion on this topic, please come forward and you'll be heard. Seeing none, public participation is now closed. Any more discussion by my colleagues? So if not, I'll just say I speak in favor of letting the architect and the owner get the improvement and the increased value of having exactly what they want. It doesn't seem to be in the way. Yes, it's different than the others. I think differentiation in between houses is good, just for value of the entire neighborhood, and that's two of the reasons I like what I see. Is there a motion? All right, so is there a motion on this?
Move to approve.
Okay, the motion, the motion is made, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. So the motion we have would be the one that the city recommends, which is counter to what the applicant is looking for. Is that your motion?
Nope, hold on. I didn't clarify what the city wants if the applicant is not happy with that. Is that what's happening here?
Two different versions. The one drafted is the P&Z and staff's position.
Put that slide up, please.
There it is there. So the Planning and Zoning Board and staff's is the 1 to 8 on top, and then Kevin's is the differentiating, was the highlighted in yellow right there.
Wondering why, since we're discussing one house really, that would apply to many areas, why not just go for a variance?
Well, this would open it up. He has said himself that he has had 3 or 4 other people inquire about this, and then in the meantime, we've actually had someone else kind of waiting on the results of this. So I guess there's, at least 2, potentially more. So while he's working, obviously on this for a client, it's going to affect everyone with a 100-foot wide lot in the city. So, it's not one house that we can talk to. It could be the Islesboro neighborhood where they have a 100-foot wide lot, or it could be areas of Sugar Mill or, wherever else, so.
I'm not sure you could manage to meet the criteria for granting a variance for a porte cochere. I'm not sure that that would be anything other than a self-imposed hardship. It would be very difficult to justify through a variance process.
So they wouldn't be eligible for a variance, but they are eligible to do a zoning text that would apply to many areas in the city, correct?
That is absolutely correct. I didn't make those rules up, and you didn't either, but that's the way it is. And I must say, the staff here is responding to an application. This is not a staff-driven process. This is not something that we went out and tried to find a solution for. We are responding to what the applicant has requested, and we disagree with what the applicant has requested. And, 10 feet, 20 feet, I don't know how you decide what the appropriate setback is. 6.5 feet sounds close to me.
So let me ask, let me get this right. Staff in planning and zoning made an adjustment to the applicant's request.
So applicant had made their application with this requested language. It went to, staff had an opinion, it went to P&Z. P&Z sided with staff's opinion. Now it's up to you whether you want to approve the application as submitted with the language saying that overhead can encroach, or you can go with staff and P&Z's recommendation.
Right. So I got that. What wasn't clear to me is whether or not the applicant is okay with staff and P&Z's version, or the reason he made the application, I believe, is because he had a circumstance. He had a situation on a project. And what I'm trying to do is determine whether or not staff and P&Z's version satisfies his client's, or it does not.
So he reached out after the P&Z meeting, reiterating his request to have his version.
Okay, let me make clear on my motion. My motion is for the applicant's request.
Motion to approve the ordinance
applicant's
with
request.
amended to include the applicant's request.
Second.
It's confusing because we're calling it an amendment to what the applicant applied for. And so I understand the city's position, I understand P&Z's position, but the applicant applied for one thing. What is before us was something else. And you've now offered an amendment or a change option, which is back to what the applicant applied for. Have I got that accurate?
Correct.
Okay.
So normally when
Thank you.
staff's recommendation is usually the motion to approve. So we
Mayor
kind of have that
articulated
default.
perfectly what I was trying to work through.
Commissioner Perrine.
It was my understanding that staff is giving them more than what we had before. So if we went with the staff and P&Z recommendation, the applicant would be at least getting more than they had before.
Correct.
Commissioner Ashley?
Is this, are we talking about appearance or practical or dangerous or what are we talking about, aesthetics?
Well, you're talking about the distance that the porte-cochere would be set back from the front property line. So you're talking about the amount of space that there would be between the porte-cochere and ultimately the roadway. So the concern that staff had and the concern that was brought up by the Utilities Commission was that in the right-of-way adjacent to the roadway, between the road and the house, there are typically lots of utilities, some of them underground, some of them above ground. Right. And the Utilities Commission in particular is very sensitive to maintaining an adequate setback so that their vehicles can come in and maintain the overhead power lines and overhead cable TV, whatever the case may be.
This says without overhead utility lines.
That's correct. That's correct. So
that-
in the case of there's no overhead utilities, but again, you have the utility issues and you have the maintaining adequate light, air, and open space, which is the basic fundamental purpose of having building setbacks. And you have how close that you want an encroachment into that required front yard to be. So you've got houses that are set back 35 feet, and then you're going to have a house with an encroachment into that setback as close as 6.5 feet to the front property line. I mean, that may look great, that may not look great. I don't know what your particular position is on that kind of architecture, but it is a significant change, and it is, something that would go to neighborhood character and how much these are used. And again, this is not something that we're driving. We're responding to it, trying to make the best of the situation. This is the danger of creating zoning text amendments for a specific scenario. And now you're having to apply it generally to everybody. And while it may work in this specific situation that was presented to you tonight, it very well may not work across the board in all of those R1 zones that you saw.
Thanks, sir. That help? No.
I understand, but.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a quick question. What is the required setback in R1 and R2 generally?
I call on the planner for that.
R1 is 35 feet. R2 is 30, but we're trying to make it, your house, it's item 2 there. Actually, no, I'm sorry, it's number 8 there. We're trying to keep it 35 feet for the house to be set back. So if you're putting up a new house, accommodate for that, set your house back so you could have this portico share.
There used to be, I don't know if there still is, a routine where you measure from the roof overhang to enable a front porch. I actually went to the city commission once and said, please may I have a front porch, based on where my house was and the situation at the time. So I'm trying to envision, 35 feet with one place at 6.5 or even 10 feet. And that's...
Yeah, it is not, it is most common when dealing with setbacks that the eave, the overhang is permitted to encroach into the required setback a specific distance, anywhere from maybe 12 inches to 36 inches, just depending on...
I thought I remembered that with the front porch, the eave could be 20 feet. But I'm not saying I'm right. I just remembered that whole conversation and the embarrassment of standing up and saying to the commission, please, commission, may I have a front porch? But be that as it may, it still is, we have a significant protrusion for one house in a neighborhood that requires much greater setbacks.
Anything else from you, Mr. Baker?
All I could add on that is it limits the width of the portico share to 25 feet. So at the max, it would be 25% of the lot. So you're still going to have 75 feet of open space on the lot, at least.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much. The applicant would like one more readdress. Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Sure.
So typically, a setback is to the building, the structure. And same here, we've got a 10-foot setback, which staff is recommending is fine. And the only I'm asking for is that extra, 42 inches of overhang from the column. So it's not like the whole building's moving forward, it's just the overhang. That's what I'm concerned with. And my concerns are aesthetic, to have a column and then have your gable end just cut off right here with no overhang.
Yeah, but that's not what they're requiring. Yeah, you can set the whole porte-cochere further back and have your roof overhang. It would just have to terminate at 10 feet.
And the concern is for existing conditions only. This is not for new construction for that overhang, because a lot of the horseshoe drives that are already existing are already there, and you can't actually get an overhang at the 10-foot level, at the 10-foot setback. So that's my concern is a lot with aesthetics, but also the function of it with existing conditions.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Anybody else? All right. So the motion and second on the floor is to adopt as intended by the applicant. That clear to my colleagues? Okay. Very good. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Perine,
No.
Commissioner Martin,
No.
Vice Mayor McGurk,
Yes.
Commissioner Ashley,
Yes?
Mayor Cleveland.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate that. Motion carries 3-2. All right. On to, we have no first readings. On to boards and commissions. Madam City Clerk, one more time, an advertisement, please, for the boards.
So I'm here tonight to announce that the City of New Smyrna Beach is currently accepting applications and vacancies for several of our boards. Historic Preservation Commission has 2 members who are expiring, but they're eligible for reappointment, and there's 1 vacant seat that is up due to a resignation. The Planning and Zoning Board has 1 vacancy also, and that is due to a resignation. And additionally, the last meeting, we appointed 2 to code compliance, and we still had that 1 vacancy left. I reached out to the applicant. He's willing to serve until we are able to appoint 1 citizen to our code compliance board. So we have Historic Preservation, Planning and Zoning, and Code Compliance currently has positions open that need to be fulfilled.
Total of 3 and those are all that we know about pending resignation or anything for
Correct.
2026.
Correct.
Okay, very good. All right, so we will do our best to help you advertise outside of this meeting to try and get some. We had a couple tonight. Both Cindy and Eric put their name in, so that's good for different boards. Excellent. Thank you very, very much. Anything else you want to tell us?
Not at this time, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move on to Commissioner reports. Commissioner Martin.
Okay. Oops, bear with me 1 second here. First of all, I love the Shore Symposium. I've been going to it for years now. It is amazing. But speaking of environmental issues, I'm trying again to see if I can generate any commission interest in sending a letter in support of Volusia Forever. I think that's an important initiative. It was certainly voted on and approved by the vast majority of voters. So I would hope that perhaps at the next meeting we could have it as an agenda item. And most recently brought up to me is the question, should the city have a position on data centers? And that may be a discussion for Thursday, but it is significant. We know Florida's going after them, courting them. And so should we have a position on it? That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Commissioner Ashley? Commissioner Ashley?
No comments tonight.
Okay, very good. Commissioner Perine?
I just want to thank our finance department again tonight. What they've done in the 5-year forecast that's coming up, focusing on the growth and development, streamlining our budgeting process and the awards that they've given. And I just also want to mention that we ended up, voting to hire a different audit team than we've had, an audit firm. When we brought on Mr. Cowper and our Director of Finance, Joanne Drury, and twice now it's passed with flying colors. And the recognition they got tonight is like an understatement. I just want to really be grateful for them, it being Professional Week. And on behalf of all of us, we're truly grateful for all you do and all of the line-by-line evaluation you give for all of our budgets and our expenses throughout the whole year and our revenues. And I did talk about that in our State of the City a little bit because being up here 4 years, my goal was to have every leisure services department break even, and we've made huge progress, and I'm going to be going out my 4-year term happy. So, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to say, all in all, the last couple weeks has been fantastic for the city. We got an unfortunate cold front, slowed things down a little bit, but it's great to see the city vibrant executing very well and the things it needs to. And I think that that the outlook for the city looks very positive. The only concern that I do have, I'm getting more and more concerned and bothered by home rule being taken away. I'm very disappointed, and the state's very aggressive and direct assault on our ability to govern ourselves. That can't be understated. It is something we all love to, we all have a lot of noise and we all have a lot of opinions on everything. This is something that we should all have the same opinion on. We should all be very concerned about it, and we should all be paying lots of attention to it and reaching out to our state representatives and letting them know. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I got.
Good. Thank you so much, sir. Want to echo for all of our residents and businesses here our appreciation and finesse that our police department executed a brilliant spring break balance between open and available and welcoming and enforcement. I think it has never been done better. And so I think the word is out about what goes down in New Smyrna at spring break. So hopefully we'll benefit by that for years to come. Chief, you and your team, thank you again. Charter officers, thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for being in the public and for your forbearance with our conversations. I think we will be stronger for the passion and the ideas that came up tonight. And I applaud you for being in the public and having every bit of your performance in your jobs examined. I want to thank the organizations FABA and Canal Street Historic Business District for the amazing job they're doing. It seems that every year and every time they do an event, the events are progressing better and better and tighter. We have done a great job with the city safety. Mr. Cowper insisted that we do crowd control different than we had in the past. We've done that. Those events have modified their behavior, and every one of the events on both of those streets are doing better and better. Remind those of you listening at home and those that remain in the room about the planning workshop on Thursday, 9 o'clock? Yes. 9 o'clock in the Brannan Center. Delighted to hear, with public participation, delighted to hear you come. In 1968, there was a bill brought up in the House, and then it went over to the Senate in our Florida legislature, and the topic was home rule. It was ratified in 1973, and for decades we have had the ability to do the Jeffersonian governance closest to the people being the best governance possible. I don't know exactly what is going on in the Tallahassee ethos of why it should be brought back up to Tallahassee. I'm a firm believer that in the 67 counties and the 400 and some cities we have, that one size does not fit all, and that we are capable, this commission, this city staff, these leaders are capable of managing better than anyone else on the planet what needs to happen in New Smyrna. So how do we get that? We as a commission have done our lobbying. We need the residents, as Commissioner McGirt said, to write your letter, make your phone calls, and go visit Tom Wright and Chase Tremont as a senator and a representative, and let them know how you feel. That is the way you get things done, and start that. And you can start a movement on it or whatever you want to do. I assure you, the 16 other cities in Volusia County will join us. That's what I have to say. State of the City on the 9th. Doors open 5:30. Start the videos at 6 o'clock, right? Right? April 7th? April 7th? Okay. Tuesday.
Sorry, Tuesday.
Tuesday, April 7th. I'm sorry. Tuesday, April 7th. So please come. Okay. On to the officers' reports. Madam City Clerk, anything more?
Nothing else at this time, thank you.
Madam City Attorney.
Yes, despite what I said last week, we probably have two more of these reports. So the legislative session concluded sine die on March 13th. 234 of 1,896 bills passed. It's the lowest number since 2020. Now, in this interim period, the governor has 3 options in the 15 days that concludes on Saturday, March 28th. He can sign bills into law. He can veto bills into law, or veto bills that die, or he can pass them without signature. I've commented throughout the session on various ones. I just wanted to hit a few that failed that we discussed, and also 3 that I've mentioned, but we could talk a little more in depth about. The 3 that failed that I wanted to draw your attention to is, well, actually 4. The Senate bill, the correction to Senate Bill 180, both versions of the bill failed. There was a proposal to eliminate the ability for local governments to levy local business taxes. That failed. The Blue Ribbon projects, which was going to take a lot of local government decision-making away from some very large projects if it met certain criteria, that bill failed. There was also a public records bill that we didn't really talk about up here, but would have had pretty severe consequences for our office, being as small as it is and the volume of requests we get, but luckily that one did fail. 3, I wanted to discuss a little further. Land use seems to be the biggest issue in New Smyrna, so these are 3 land use bills. The first one is the local land planning and development. It's House Bill 927. It requires cities and counties, but of a certain size, which for us is 10,000 or more, so this does apply to us. By January 1, 2027, we have to develop a pre-application consulting services program. We have to establish and maintain a registry of at least 4 qualified contractors or 2 qualified contractor firms free of conflict of interest with the local government. And what they do is they can help applicants go through that pre-application process. It's interesting. Who can be on the registry? You can use other local government public employees, but we can't use our own. And I think the part that kind of rubs a little bit on the wrong way is that the city has to facilitate with records and information to these private people. So it's almost like a double whammy. So I think that's interesting and something that will impact us. Kind of along the same vein, so that's pre-applications for certain developments. It's also applying to building permits and inspections under House Bill 803. First couple provisions we've talked about before. It requires local governments to exempt from building permit work on single-family homes valued at $7,500 or less, excluding electrical, plumbing, structural, mechanical, or gas work. It also requires a 5-day response time frame for permit applications for work valued less than $15,000. So also on the building code side, they have this private provider services element like the one I just discussed. It requires us to establish the registration system for private providers. And if the applicant or owner permittee uses those services, the city has to reduce their fees by a certain amount. So if they choose to use a private provider, they have to be set off at least 25%. And if they use them for both systems, you have to discount your rates by at least 50%, or the actual set off by what work would not be done by the city staff. So that's an interesting one. The last one I think is going to be interesting is House Bill 399, Land Use and Development Regulations. 3 things I wanted to highlight from this one. It requires local government comp plans and land development regulations to include factors for assessing the compatibility of allowable residential uses within a residential zoning district or future land use category. So they're looking at black and white criteria that we would have to apply. Can't be like a subjective feeling type of criteria. We have to identify specific areas of incompatibility, and it authorizes staff to recommend mitigation measures to applicants before recommending denial. So it's requiring us to encourage them to develop in a certain way before you can deny them. And finally, it prohibits local governments from denying an application on compatibility grounds unless the denial includes written findings identifying areas of incompatibility and concluding that proposed mitigation measures are inadequate and no feasible mitigation measures exist. So that's why they're requiring us to adopt it in our comp plan and our land development regulations. And then if we were up here debating something, we're going to have to, if it's denied, going to have a written rendition order with those factors. So we will have to develop more those no votes. Why are we voting no? What are the factors that aren't met? Lastly, I just wanted to mention how we work on this in our offices. We've given staff heads up on certain bills that may impact them along the way. Now we will wait till after Saturday. There's different groups like the local government attorneys. There's a lot of debate about interpretations and things like that. But what we'll do is after we kind of heard a lot of it and gotten very familiar with them, we reach out to staff members and talk to them about each of these changes and what they may need to do to come into compliance. So, and that concludes my report.
That's great. I've got some follow-up questions, but at the risk of sounding like an advertisement, breaking news, the wind storm that we've had has outed the power on Beachside to 4,400 residents. So if you're listening to this or you have somebody that is Beachside that you're worried about, there are 4,400 residents that are without power. Our trucks are on scene. I've spoken to the CEO of the Utility Commission, and they're on scene rectifying that right now. I do not have an estimate for when that'll be fixed. Carrie, a couple things. Say one more time, the governor needs to sign or not sign. There's an expiration, and if it's passed the House and the Senate, does it automatically become, or does he got to veto those deliberately?
Okay, so 234 passed both houses. He can either sign those or not do anything, and then they would become into law. But we kind of have to wait till we have to wait until March 28th, which is the 15 days, because he could veto any of those 234. The other thing I just wanted to mention is if anyone's interested in looking some of these things for themselves, if you Google Florida Senate bill summaries, it'll take you to the Florida Senate page, and they have them grouped by category. Sometimes it's a little misleading how they're grouped because it may be in one section but have implications in some other area. And also if you're clicking around and you see the letters ER after bill text, that means that's the version that's been passed by both the House and the Senate.
Thank you very much. It's a really complete assessment, and we're grateful for having that. It is the legislative cycle that we go through. One more, would you have would you fill us in on the Leon County judge that struck down the lawsuits? I think there are five items. 4 of the 5 were struck down. This is the Senate Bill 180. There was a group that wanted to sue the state, right? 2 counties, 12 cities. And so Leon, as opposed to what we did, which was go up and negotiate, and that didn't carry the day. And the suit, I don't think, is carrying the day. I think it's been dismissed, or 4 of the 5 issues have been dismissed.
So there ended up being 2 different lawsuits, the one that we contemplated joining with the cities and the counties, and then another one that included the Thousand Friends of Florida and an individual plaintiff. The city county lawsuit and the Thousand Friends, they were seeking injunctions from the enforcement of those bills as drafted. The state filed a motion to dismiss on most of those claims, and I don't have the exact numbers, but the city-county lawsuit maybe has 1 or 2 issues that are still alive from their complaint. Thousand Friends of Florida, some were dismissed with prejudice, which means they can't come back. Others were dismissed without prejudice, which means they can amend and bring them back before the court. But if we started out here with all of these arguments, we're really down to just a few that are left in viable claims. So we'll continue to monitor how that goes.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Minister Cowper.
Nothing, sir.
Oh, man, never. All righty, we are adjourned at 7:55.